It's very much in our experience as human beings. If we belong to a religion of any kind, what would we want more than to just hear God speaking to us? In Quran, God says He will show His signs. Yes, He will show His signs. سَنُرِهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي آفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ إِنَّهُ الْحَقُّ. He will show His signs outside of themselves and inside of themselves until they realize, till they come to understand that this is the truth, or that He is the real one. You see, so everywhere He is manifesting. The ayah that I explained to Khatira John earlier is a different one, where in Quran God says, وَمَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ أَنْ يُكَلِّمَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَّا وَحْيًا أَوْ مِنْ وَرَاءِ حِجَابٍ أَوْ يُرْسِلَ رَسُولًا فَيُوحِيَ بِإِذْنِهِ مَا يَشَاءُ. So this very beautiful ayah, where he's talking about the bashar, which is you and me, the human being. وَمَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ أَنْ يُكَلِّمَ اللَّهُ. It is not fitting, it is not possible, you could say, that God will speak directly to a bashar. وَمَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ أَنْ يُكَلِّمَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَّا وَحْيًا, except for revelation, أَوْ مِنْ وَرَاءِ حِجَابٍ, or from outside of the veils of ignorance, that the voice will come, or some guidance will come. Or the last part of it means that, or they will receive communication through a messenger. This is the most common way. You're a Jew, Moses is a prophet, he's a messenger. You're a Muslim, you have a messenger. You're Christian, you have a messenger, okay? But what I was explaining to Khatira is that this is also prone to danger, because somebody, we can find mental institutions full of people who think God has spoken to them, or that they themselves are God speaking to others, or whatever you wish, any combination of the above. So the Sufi is not relying upon this. The Sufi is not arguing with anyone. If they think they are Jesus, let them be. But they are not affirming what they have said. The Sufi is affirming something different. The Sufi is affirming the fact that it is possible to dissociate from a full mind. It's possible to reduce the activity of the mind and the feelings, therefore. It's possible to let the mind settle down. And the analogy is given not just in Sufism, given in all the religions, the early religions of the world, that we should imagine that it's like an ocean with waves, and what happens if the ocean settles down is the person becomes aware that the waves did not have an absolute existence. They were created by the wind or by the energies. What was absolute was the ocean. So they become aware that they were earlier aware of the shape of the wave. They became aware now of the water. You see? So this is the analogies we'd find in Buddhism, Sufism. So in ourselves, think of all the poetry, Hafez and Shahrastari, about becoming empty. And in Buddhism, we can find similar teachings. So the Sufis, they have relied for centuries on what they call Jazba. So Jazba is the action of God, and it also describes, therefore, the states of ecstasy that the Sufi feels. So the notion here is that existence itself is very powerful, and And if a waveform looks inside of itself, it sees water. See, for a minute, imagine there's what's facing the atmosphere, which is the reality we know, and then there's the part of the self that's facing the wave, the water inside of the wave, meaning the source of oneself. So people say, well, this is crazy logic and so forth. We say, well, we don't rely on logic. We rely just that you sit in meditation, that you try it. We don't seek to give you a religious argument necessarily, unless you're a religious person. We only seek to try to get you to sit quietly and to allow your mind to settle down. That's all we're seeking from you. Because if you do this, you have no need of philosophy, you have no need of anything, you only have need of watching your own experience. So if you do this and you are able to get beyond the difficulties that arise from the emotions in the mind, at some point you will realize that the mind is itself a place where existence manifests. Ashraf John says to me, well, what is the difference between this great energy you are describing and this great awareness? What is the difference between this and love? Huh, Ashraf John? Yeah. So the difference is this, and this is one of the talks that I gave that's on the Sufi Garden website. I think it's called Divine Love and the Ecstasy of Being, maybe, something like that. So the point of that talk is to differentiate between human ideas about love versus God's statements about love. So the best one that is the most used by the Sufi would actually be the Hadith, where God says, I was a hidden treasure and I love to be known. Kuntu kanzan makhfi'an fa'ahbabtu an urifa. فَخَلَقْتُ الْخَلْقَ لِكَيْ أُرَفَ. And I created the creation, or an atom, the manifestation of this creation. I created this so that I would be known. So in this sentence, we have the verbal form, فَأَحْبَبْتُ, and I loved, hub. You see, this is hub, what you're asking about. فَأَحْبَبْتُ أَنْ أُرِفَ. I love, and I love to be known. So the Sufis say this is the secret. If somebody was going to tell you the secret, this is the secret, because for God to be known would be the equivalent, as they say, for him to be looking in a mirror. Because he's the only actor. There's only one existence, in other words. So from an existential point of view, there's only one existence. But it has modalities. We talked about the waves. When I gave the talk at the Islamic Center of Northern California, I was referring to the imagery in Persian poetry in particular about the waves and the ocean, about God's love to be known, and how in Arabic Persian, even more conveniently, you have the idea of hawa. So hawa, it means either the air or the atmosphere, or it means desire, does it not? God's I love to be known involve love. Love has some ishq to it, doesn't it? Some passion to it, and some hawa, some desire, does it not? So for the Sufis, the imagery is the desire to be known, and the love is also in the waves caused by the wind of desires, the gales of fragrance, as Lahiji writes. You will see it's a very beautiful passage. Rumi says, آن حسی که حق بر آن حس مظهر است نیست حس این جهان آن دیگر است. Okay? That sense or sensibility by which true reality can be known is not a sense of this world, like the normal senses that we have. It is a sense because you are able to perceive it, you are able to sense it, but you realize it is extraordinary, that is unusual, and you cannot know this from one experience. In Sufism and in Zen and all of these traditions, you must have many, many years of consistent practice before you are verified to, you see, so in the Zen tradition, they have many trick questions, so to speak, that aren't about the questions verbally, they're about the experience, okay? In Sufism, it's more that you are in the presence of the teacher for many years and the teacher verifies. So the lineage of Sufism has failed in many cases because of the cultural choice of having it go directly in a family line. Instead of the most qualified person, it goes directly in a family line. And many Sufi, the Turuq, many have been ruined by this practice. Same thing in Buddhism and other traditions. See, so it should only be based on one thing, person's capacity to feel God's love. Sheikh Ibn al-Arabi gives us two citations about love. The first citation is in the chapter Adam, where he talks about the human being being the polishing of the mirror, the universe being the unpolished surface of a mirror, and the human being being the arrival of the polishing of that mirror. The second citation is in Moses, the chapter Moses, where he talks directly about love. He cites the hadith that I quoted to you, I was a hidden treasure and I love to be known. And he goes on, therefore, to say that every single thing that's going on in the world is motivated by love. In summary, the Sufi is the friend of the Buddhist, is the friend of the Taoist, is the friend of the Jewish mystic, Christian mystic, because if they sit together quietly, because they are human beings, they will go to the same realization. This is the claim. They are human beings, therefore they have the capacity for calming the mind. If they calm the mind, they will see that the objects in the mind were a distraction. They will see that multiplicity came out of the objects in the mind. So as they learn to calm the mind, they also learn to let go of enough of the distractions. Let me give you the analogy with this. Is like there's a carpet. Here it is. It's very beautifully. It's from northern Afghanistan, huh? I think it's kind of up Aksha way or something like that, except that we see, well, even this, see, this could be, because see, this is very nice, huh? Because you have wool and you don't have cotton, huh? So it could very well be from Aksha or someplace like that, huh? This is where you and your people come from. So if you take this very tight carpet, and it has a warp and a weft, and you pull one of the strings out, and you pull another string out the other way, you see? And you do this. This is what meditation is like, because it's hard to believe, but the carpets from Aksha you see like this are so tightly woven that in your house you don't realize it, that there's a sun in your basement. And the shining sun, you cannot see it, but if you start to pull the strands out from the carpet, you will see light coming from your basement. Your basement is sadr. See? So there's a sunshine living in your basement. And along the way there are demons also. You will have to conquer the demons. Because nafs will say, oh, you are a mighty, intelligent person. You are a great saint. The angels will there were demons come as angels. They would say, "You are the chosen one. You in all of these things." You must say, "No, no, 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 no. I'm not interested in any of this," and follow the Sufis when they were offered water by Khizr and the angels as they approached Mecca. They said, "We didn't come here for your water." They said, "We only came here to go to Mecca."